We have a new expansion on our hands. The City Skylines Industries expansion was just released and it's a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be. So therefore I am here making a tutorial so that we can all master the new industries and make our cities richer than ever before. Also, I've mixed in a few tips and tricks along the way, so stay tuned. We have a city here on the left. It's nothing special, just some residential and commercial zoning. We have all the necessary services and also a underground metro system that can take people around the entire city. So in order to get going, we need some natural resources, we need a forest, and a forest we shall get. Also, we need to cover our intended industrial area with a industrial district. In the districts tab we can find the industry districts and so we place it down. When the forest is found, we can start working on the first step on building our industry. We need a main building that will also act as a way to establish the type of industry that will take place within the district. By clicking on the main building, we can see a type of progression chart of our district. We will have a closer look at this later on in the video, however. For now, let's pick a good name for our district. And we also have two more neat little buildings, a maintenance building and a barracks for our workers. These are used to increase the capacity and efficiency of your district, acting more or less like a buff for the entire district. Now that we have our main buildings and districts, it is time for us to establish a place where we will extract our resources. This small little forest here looks excellent. And so we place down our extraction buildings that will function not only as a building that gathers resources, but also as a workplace for our citizens. Yes, you can replace zonable workplaces with these manual, which is really neat. You can change the looks of our plantations by planting different types of trees or turning them into greenhouses. Now people can work and extract resources here. Every plantation has a rather limited amount of internal storage, however, so in order to have buffers for our future processing, we need storage units for our resources. By going into the storage tab, we find 4 different buildings. These 4 buildings, however, store in total only 2 different resources, but are of different sizes, if you need larger or smaller storage units. By placing them inside of our district, our workers will automatically start filling the storage units up with the resources that we have gathered. As simple as that. Now back to the main building. By clicking on it once again, we can see a lot more statistics now. We can see how much resources we are extracting, how much it's costing us, and how much we are making, exporting or selling. All good things to know. We can also see things like the total amount of necessary resources until the next level and total amount of needed workers. A lot of interesting stuff and statistics, and we do love statistics, so that's always nice. Now that we have our resources, we know how much we produce, and we have a good way to store it. However, we do want to start making a bit more money. We can do this by processing our resources into more valuable items and/or resources. I used to call it like stage 1 resources, and now we're trying to process it into stage 2 resources, which are more valuable. Now from our raw forest products, we can create 2 new resources: planed timber, or however that is pronounced, and paper. These buildings also come in 2 different sizes for different amount of processing. We add a new road to allow for easier transportation of raw forest products to our new processing facilities. And now it's time for us to make some paper. Now all our stage 1 resources will be transported to our paper facility and it's going to be turned into paper, which we then store, export or sell or whatever. By going back to the main building again, we can now see all our new resources being made and sold. And finally, we are making a profit. So in order to further increase our profits and to complete the chain of production so that we can create more complicated items and sell them in our commercial zones, we need to continue the processing of our goods. In this case, we are going to turn our stage 2 processed items into stage 3 items, which sell for a lot more money. This time we are to create a printing press factory where we can print anything from books to postals. But in order to do this, we need more than one resource. And this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. We now have our paper, but somehow we need plastics. Plastics, just as paper, is a stage 2 resource, which means it has been processed once and cannot be imported. However, by quickly making a small new industry district that focuses on processing oil into plastics, we can very easily import the stage 1 oil resource and process it into plastics. We can then transport it down to our printing press factory and start making our goods. Once the goods are made, we can sell them and make some nice money. The shot updates automatically and very quickly. We can very easily see when we sell something expensive and how it affects our total economy. I really love how the new incomes are a bit more dynamic. They're updating live and it just makes for a bit more interesting gameplay. Now that we have our stage 3 goods, we need a way to store and sell them in a commercial zone. By going over to our small city, we can very easily create a small road where we can put our warehouse. This warehouse will act as a storage unit for our stage 3 products and will also be placed closer to our commercial zones to enable faster transportation of new goods to our stores. You can see it as a buffer in between your stores and our factories. Almost like a middleman or whatever you call it in English. Now our circle of life is complete. We have our main building establishing the type of industry. We have our extractor buildings gathering stage 1 resources, storing the resources for later processing, processing our stage 1 resources into stage 2 resources, and processing stage 2 resources into stage 3 resources, transporting our transporting our stage 3 resources into our warehouse and then delivering and selling them in our stores. And so our industry is complete. I hope you have enjoyed the tutorial. If you have any tips or tricks, let us know by typing it in the comments down below. A big thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.